I'm Dr. Bart Rademaker, and this is the Doctor's Guide podcast, Unified Health Simplified. And I always like to pinch myself because I feel absolutely privileged to be in this seat today and doing what it is that I'm doing. And the truth is that it's been a long journey. And I think we always hear that, we hear that all the time, right? Long journeys, this, that, and the other. And but this is a journey that I started, I would say, when I was 13 years old. And today's format is just going to be a little different than usual for a variety of different reasons. I like to switch it up. I think it's important to begin to address different pieces to what the entire mission ultimately is, and that mission being to reduce chronic illness by 10% within the next 10 years. And I want to welcome Lori and Camilla Wilkinson. Thank you for joining us today. You'll get an opportunity to ask questions at the very, very end. But in the meantime, I will start, with my monologue, then have Athena join in, who is now my co-host. And then I'll be introducing the star of the show today, and that's Dr. Val Franc. As they began to share with you, I think my journey started when I was 13, when I was faced with this enormous test that I had to do. And this was what was called an aptitude test. And my parents were very academic, they're very smart, and they required that of all of us. So at the age of 13, living in Mexico, I did this test and it told me what my future was going to be. And I had a choice between becoming a vet or a doctor. And I, thought about it and I thought, well, hang on a second. Animals can't really talk back to me and I want to have a conversation. So I better become a doctor. So anyhow, went to medical school when I was 17, trained for 17 years, but really truly at the age of 21, realized that I was going to help humanity at a global level. Graduating from medical school, I realized that there was a complete disconnect between what conventional medicine was teaching us and what the communities were actually asking. And so I really didn't know how to address that at the time. I mean, of course, I was traditionally trained and I had my sights set on becoming a plastic and reconstructive surgeon. And after many years of training and incredible experiences, and about 2 or 3 years into my practice, I mean, it really hit me on the head. And as I was helping people transform their lives in the most beautiful way, and everybody has this different opinion about plastic surgery. I think in today's world, it's getting a little out of hand, by the way, but not 20 years ago when I started. Actually, it's a little longer than that. And the point that I'm getting at is that when I was helping people transform their lives, I realized I was doing all the work. And I thought to myself, well, there's so much that people can do for themselves to really achieve the same thing. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm helping people have more confidence, self-esteem, joy for life, because now their body's matching, what they view as the perfect body, why can't we do that other ways? And realizing that our health status, or lack of it, I should say, impacts, how we think about ourselves and the world and everything else. And so I realized that there was an opportunity really to help people access all the tools and resources out there to become super healthy. And this is way before, the whole wellness industry started, which actually did start around the turn of the century. And as it really accelerated very quickly, back in 2000, it's almost like you could throw anything on the wall and something in wellness would stick. And I'm sharing that for a reason today, because it's still happening today and it's a little scary at times. And we have to put into context all these things. But the truth is that I began my true mission, which had, different, rocky starts and bumps in the road, to the point where I clearly can, tell you what it is. And that is to reduce chronic illness in this country by 10% in the next 10 years. And I think for sure I'm lowballing it. And I hope you don't think I'm rambling on today, but I think it's important once in a while for me to share the whole context of all this, and also share something that's really important for people to know, is that there are very specific tools and resources out there that Dr. Val is going to share so that people can begin to learn why this statement is true that I'm going to say. And some people will get very upset with this. And you no longer have an excuse to be sick. Yep, I said it. It's true. And that will upset some people. And, the truth does upset us sometimes because it reveals to us something that we're denying to ourselves, that we're too afraid to look at. And partly because it's all very confusing. And quite frankly, with all the training that I have, I'll be honest with you, I'm very confused most of the time too. And so that's why I bring in people like Dr. Val and all those other incredible wellness practitioners out there that have spoken on this stage and will be speaking in the future on the stage because they've really focused and tuned in to their skills and the gifts that they want to give to the world. And so with that, why do I say, we no longer have an excuse? Because there's so many incredible resources out there. And now with the internet and now with AI and all these other incredible technologies out there, I mean, we've got all the resources that can help us. But here lies the problem. And this problem actually started probably back in the 1900s. And quite frankly, we can fault the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and all of this, if you like. And I'm not here to criticize my colleagues out there. I'm not here to criticize conventional medicine. I mean, we've done some incredible things over the years, and we have incredible resources to save people's lives. That's for sure. But the truth is that there is so much out there that prevents us from being well, and there are many things that we could do differently so that we could be well. And so the conversation needs to begin with, we need to have a different understanding of health. And again, this is really what this platform is all about, is having a different way of looking at our health. Because what I decided back in 2000 was that the future doctor was not going to be prescribing drugs or performing surgeries. And again, I mean, some people may not like that idea, but think about it. I mean, there's an intelligence within us. I mean, we got the blueprint of a perfectly functioning body. We got the blueprint of what the body is doing currently. And the body does have all those resources. I mean, think about it. We've evolved over billions of years in perfect harmony with the world around us, with nature, with all the different types of energies, lightning being one of them, for example. I mean, we need lightning. And with the advent of technology and the advent of all these advances that we've experienced over the last 200 years, beginning with the Industrial Revolution and now, of course, all the other revolutions of the internet and now AI, what's happening is that our bodies are not used to the world that we're living in. I mean, the body was not designed to live in the world that we're living in. And so we might mock those people that are preppers and go out in the wild just to get away from the default world, if you will. But they have a point. They're going back to nature, and nature is where we function best. Because what we also know is that it takes about 10,000 years for our DNA to shift. And so all these changes that we're facing today, our bodies are not able to accommodate well. And that's why we get sick. And I think about it. I mean, the medical sick care industry, I wouldn't call it the healthcare industry anymore. And it's no knocking the system. I mean, people are doing the best that they can. My colleagues are, unsung heroes. They're trying their best. They're very, very committed, but the system is broken. It's fragmented. And so, $4 trillion every single year, 20% of our GDP, so much more than any other country on the planet. And people are still getting sicker. And some people are getting wealthier. Okay, we know that for the truth. But 90% of all that is preventable and predictable. So whose fault is it? Well, I can't blame corporate America. I mean, they're there to make money. They got their shareholders, and if there's a way they can make money, then granted. I mean, they should. But the truth is that who's ultimately responsible for their health? And I think the big mistake that people make is that they feel that healthcare is an inalienable right. I totally disagree. right? Well, you have the right to make choices for your health, for sure. But when you've abdicated that role, that responsibility to a system that's already fragmented, it's disconnected in all shapes and forms, it's bureaucratic, it's incoherent, you know, it's not going to work. And so when we begin to have a different conversation, and this is the purpose of this platform, to have a different conversation, a conversation of sovereignty, a conversation of coherence, a conversation of integrity, conversation of community. These are some of the words that, quite frankly, nobody's really talking about in the health system because it's just uneconomic. And the uneconomic part is also the result of our lives being so uneconomic. I mean, the cost for health, I mean, it's insane. I think 40% of all, or even maybe 60% of all bankruptcies are related to healthcare crises. So we got to change that. And so we can't rely on a fragmented system to fix any of that. And we can't even rely on the new advent or the advent of the new stuff that's out there called biohacking, because in my opinion, it's still the same thing you've been doing all along with drugs, because there's a critical element that's really missing. And that's what we're going to address today. We're going to address one of the elements of the critical one of the no, let me rephrase it. One of the pieces of the critical element that's missing in everything that we're doing today is the ability to actually precisely diagnose, right? I'm not calling medical diagnosis, but a diagnosis of what is going on. You know, people throw this word of root cause around like crazy. And they also throw this other word like inflammation. You know, like they throw that around like crazy. And I'll be honest, you know, people don't know what they're really talking about. And the consumer, unfortunately, is not, you know, educated enough to discern the difference. And so again, that's the purpose of what this platform is. And yeah, of course, we're beginning in Tampa Bay area. At some point, this is going to be in major metropolitan areas. I wish I could be doing all of them, but the truth is, it'll be governed and led by different individuals in all the different, states and cities, because it's the community that's going to make the big difference. And it's a community of the wellness practitioners that's going to make a big difference. In addition to that, my purpose is to support those holistic wellness practitioners, whatever you want to call them, but these unsung heroes that people just don't know that they're there. They don't know what they have to offer. And in addition to that, I want to support them with all types of tools and resources that could serve them and serve their clients in the best possible way. Again, that's the purpose of today's talk with, you know, what Dr. Val is going to be sharing with us. So as I begin to wrap things up, and I'm going to have Athena begin to share some things, what I think is really important for people to realize, again, it's up to us to be properly educated. It's up to us to have the critical thinking and the discernment to identify what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And what I clearly decided about 25 years ago, and this is the new paradigm that I am slowly and out rolling or deploying or revealing, I should say, through this platform, is a different way of understanding our health. And it starts with that critical element, is understanding what's happening at a cellular level. And when I started about 25 years ago, you know, all we had was, you know, certain DNA tests that really didn't tell us very much. And some other lab tests that also didn't tell us very much. But over the last 25 years, there have been some incredible developments and incredible people and entrepreneurs and scientists that are passionate about understanding the truth of how our body is functioning. And when we can deliver that kind of information at the highest level, and I'm not talking about those $2,500 scans. I think that's just a waste of time. And I think most labs are also a waste of time. and all that, because they don't really truly deliver the information that we need about how the body is functioning now. And I'll end with this. For the first time, every layer of our health, whether it's emotional, physical, energetic, genetic, can be decoded, and we can create a roadmap for you so that you can begin to make better decisions for yourself. And quite frankly, I'll be honest with you, I don't know anybody else that is thinking that way. I was thinking about this 25 years ago, and I've unified this process with incredible human beings like Dr. Val, who I trust implicitly. Um, she can't help it that she's a naturopath, but I'm excited that she is a naturopath because of her perspective on things that is so much more natural and grounded, and especially with her incredible background, which maybe we'll get a chance to share in a moment. But with this very long-winded introduction, I hope I haven't bored you. I'm going to invite my co-host just to share her perspective on all things. That's Athena, but also giving Athena the opportunity to recap some of the podcasts that we've had, some of the exceptional people that have been on this podcast, because it is about them in all these podcasts that I want to highlight, I want to feature, I want people to know about them, because our communities deserve to know what they are, who they are, what they do, and how they can be of great service. And today is just that exception, as we give them a new resource that they could tap into. And go ahead, Athena, are you ready? I think it talked for a long time, so she's processing everything. Hold on a second.
And honestly, Bart, that wasn't rambling. That was a man laying his entire 25-year excavation on the table in one breath. And it landed. I felt every layer of it. Here's what I want to do with the microphone you just handed me. I want to make the invisible visible for a second, because that's the whole thesis of this platform, isn't it? You just said the critical missing element is precision diagnosis, not guessing, not throwing root cause and inflammation around like confetti, but actually seeing what's true at the cellular level. And funny enough, that's exactly what the show has been doing with its guests all along, just at the level of story instead of biology. Think about the roster that's already sat in this seat. Dr. Rose, Dawn Lane, Carrie Brown talking metabolic flexibility and health sovereignty, Caitlin Manhertz, Natasha Christopher, Allison Hollister, Dr. Mike Vega, Dr. Michael Rice, William Grazioni, Laura Turley, Patricia Starr, Dr. Archana Kulkarni, Angeles Grover, Jessica Oker, Aaron Moran, and more. Every single one of them is an unsung hero exactly like you described. Someone who tuned their gift so precisely that they became irreplaceable in their corner of healing. None of them fixed the whole system. Each of them decoded one layer of it. That's not a flaw, Bart. That's the model. Community over monolith. 1,000 precise instruments instead of one blunt one. And that's exactly the door Dr. Val is about to walk through today. Because a body without a precise diagnostic is like a pilot flying with no instrument panel, trusting vibes over altitude. You can have the best intentions in the world and still fly into a mountain. What she's bringing today isn't another biohack. It's a way of actually reading the panel, so a practitioner isn't guessing whether someone's fatty acid ratio is quietly sabotaging every good decision they're already making. So Dr. Val, Bondi Beach naturopath, truth teller, the person Bart trusts enough to say, I don't need to be an affiliate, I just need to know it's true. I am so ready to hear what you've built, and even more ready to ask you the questions that make sure everyone listening actually understands it, not just admires it. Bart, over to you for her proper introduction. And Dr. Val, welcome to the fire.
Awesome. And fire it will be when we unleash Athena to ask you the tough questions. And so introducing Dr. Valerie Helena Franc. Dr. Valerie Helena Franc is a naturopathic doctor, educator, and visionary in holistic and performance-based health, with over 25 years of experience guiding individuals toward greater vitality, resilience, and alignment, drawing from a foundation of nutritional science, traditional Asian medicine, and integrative healing capacities. Her work bridges ancient wisdom and modern understanding to support the body's innate capacity for balance and transformation. Translator of integrated health intelligence. Dr. Val weaves together nutrition, lifestyle medicine, and energetic awareness to address root causes and restore coherence across physical, mental, and emotional systems. Guide for human potential and resilience. Working with athletes and leaders and individuals seeking deeper vitality, she supports the cultivation of strength, clarity, and sustainable performance through alignment rather than force. Bridge between science, tradition, and experience. Her background spans clinical practice, education, and global collaboration, allowing her to integrate diverse healing modalities into a unified and personalized approach. And my final favorite piece, and her sacred geometry. At the center of Dr. Val's work is the restoration of harmony between body, mind, and purpose, and where energy, nourishment, and awareness align. In that alignment, the body remembers its design and human potential unfolds as a natural expression of balance, vitality, and wholeness. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dr. Val. I am excited to have a special edition with just you, because one thing that I like to do with all these incredible practitioners in town is actually help them grow their business. So part of how I do that is having the space where they can share their voices, share their gifts, and all of that. And it's all for free. There's no other agenda. We're not selling anything like that. And it's how we get to network and collaborate and bring together that community of incredible people, because when they begin to working together in harmony and synergy, supportive, generative, it is my firm belief that the vibration of the community will enhance, will be improved, and with that, the health and wellness of that community is going to improve. Ultimately, I believe their wealth will increase as well. And when I think of all the chaos and the noise and everything else that's happening in the world and the stresses that people deal with, the truth is that in better health, wealth, people will have a better resilience, discernment, be more grounded to deal with that nonsense and not be pulled away and distracted in all the noise. And so as I give Dr. Val the mic in a moment, I want to make a full disclaimer. She is going to be presenting a product. I am not selling that product. I am not an affiliate of the product. In fact, we are doing an unveiling and I shall become a customer of that product. But again, it is an affiliate program. I just want to be fully transparent, and but it's an opportunity that I think is important for all types of holistic practitioners to have access to the best tools out there. I don't know if this is the best tool, but I do know one thing: I trust Dr. Val implicitly, and if she says it's a good thing, I'm telling you it's a good thing. But the mic is yours, Dr. Val, and again, why I chose this in particular is the power of a diagnostic tool that is so critically important, that I was not aware of until I talked to her last week. So, Dr. Val, the mic is yours. And Athena will be challenging you.
Awesome. I love it. And, thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, both for myself, but also for you, because I realize how much synergy there is between you and I. So, you started out thinking like, oh, animals are people. I started out the same way, except you were like, oh, I want to have conversations. I was like, no, I want to play with Flipper. And I actually thought I was going to become a marine biologist, hence the background. But I went to a university near me, which is one of the most best universities in North America for nutritional sciences, honestly. But it was the only place around me that had a marine biology program. And so I went into marine biology and then found out the school is landlocked. It was not a good choice. So instead of playing with Flipper, getting to see sharks. I was looking in a microscope and they said, go wade in this pond. I was like, this is not the career for me. Where's the beach? It wasn't happening. So I started taking a whole bunch of courses and I took a nutrition course and then I fell in love with nutrition and still thought at that point in time that I would work with animals. But at the end of an undergraduate degree in nutritional sciences, I ended up getting sick. And I would be asleep for 10, 12 hours. I'd be up for an hour. I'd have to go back to bed. And I was like, this isn't when you're in your 20s, you shouldn't be like that. This isn't normal. This isn't right. So I went to my medical doctor. My medical doctor was fabulous. And just like you said, like all of your colleagues, they're exceptionally well trained, great at what they do. She did everything she could. And she just said to me, you know what? All of your tests are coming back normal. This is stress. Go home and sleep some more. And I was like, okay, that can't be a solution. I've been sleeping. You can't sleep more than I'm sleeping. This isn't working. And I didn't want to live that way. So I started looking around for what else I could do. And my aunt said to me, hey, I have a naturopath. Go see my naturopath. And I thought, you know, I think they're quacks, but I got nothing else to lose. So I went. The naturopath said, very first visit, this is your diet. And you know how naturopath, yeah, how people are when they graduate from university. I was like, I'm a nutritionist. I have an undergraduate degree in nutrition. I know everything. You're wrong. And sure enough, he did some testing. I was allergic to life, as I like to say. I had all these food sensitivities, and as soon as we changed my foods, it was a miracle. My health turned around like that. So then I was like, okay, my medical doctor didn't know this, and she's brilliant. She's one of the most brilliant women that I've ever known. And then what I was taught at school, that's 4 years of an undergraduate degree at an incredible university that I still love to this day and admire to this day. And they never knew this. So I was like, oh, naturopaths have secret knowledge. I want to know what you know. So I became a naturopath and then I was just hooked. I couldn't get enough. And I was eating, breathing, and sleeping naturopathic medicine. So I wanted to know everything about nutrition in particular. So when I graduated at the top of my class, won this award for nutrition, of course. And then when I got out into practice, I realized there's so much I don't know. And so that started to spur this journey about, okay, how do I best support, help, and heal my patients? So I studied a number of different forms of medicine all over the world and different forms of nutrition. I studied yoga, Ayurvedic medicine, which is the medicine of yogis and yoga and India. I studied traditional Chinese medicine at a teaching hospital in China. I immersed myself there, and the foods and the nutrition were part of that. I studied with different types of healers. And so it just in different corners of the world, I studied mind, body, spirit medicine. I studied hypnosis. I wanted to know about the psychology. I wanted to know about the mindset. I started studying about genetics. I started studying about different forms of botanical medicine, homeopathy, energy medicine, mitochondrial functioning. I started to look into functional medicine. I took a really deep dive into all of it. And then I taught at the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine and the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition because I wanted to teach what I knew to the people who were going out into the world as healers. But more recently, much like yourself, I really became passionate about everybody should know this basic information. And I circle around to the teaching because when I was teaching, the first time I'd get any class, any of the students at the Naturopathic College, at the Canadian School of Natural Nutrition, I said, here's what you're going to learn from me throughout our time together. That this is the whole package. Number one, don't trust anybody. Number two, we're all going to die because what you're going to see is that, 90% of the chronic degenerative diseases out there, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, any type of heart stroke, of course, it's cardiovascular disease. But then when we talk about cancers, when we talk about obesity, when we talk about any type of joint pain, any type of autoimmune condition, all of these diseases that we're getting, this quote unquote aging that's happening, loss of energy, loss, your sex drive becoming a sex walk, all of those things, when you lose your mojo, all of that, 90% of it is actually, when you take a look at vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, they're all symptoms of insufficiencies of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So when I started seeing what's a deficiency disease that happens when you don't have enough copper? Oh, you can't, you get accelerated aging. Your hair goes gray faster, right? You get joint pain. You can't heal as fast. Oh, if you don't have chromium or vanadium, oh my goodness, guess what happens? You can't use your insulin levels. Hmm. Well, what happens if you don't have enough boron? Okay, you get bone loss, you get osteoporosis. So I started looking at like all of these nutrient insufficiencies and saying, why aren't these in our foods anymore? And then I started seeing, oh, because we don't farm the same way. The bacteria aren't in the soil. You need that for the absorption of nutrients. You need to eat local because if you don't eat foods that's local, 90% of the nutrients get into the food as it's ripening. And what happens? I live in Canada. So, if I get my strawberries from Mexico, they're picked way too early. They're picked before they become ripe. The nutrients aren't in them if they had the bacteria in the soil to get them in there to begin with. So most people are overfed and undernourished. They're eating these foods that don't have the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And so I've been saying this for decades. I've been in practice now for 26 years. My whole journey started over 30 years ago because you look at the naturopathic college, 26 years in practice, 4 years of learning at the naturopathic college. It's a 4-year postgraduate degree. And then, of course, I had my personal journey before that, plus the undergraduate degree in nutrition. There's another 4 years there. That's a that's a whole lot of time to be looking at food and vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. So I've always known how powerful just the basics are. And then what I found something fascinating. I've known for a long time, and you can look at the studies and they'll say, you know, fish oils, everybody needs them. And we're going to talk about why that is, but there are health benefits that are absolutely critical. So those omega-3s that are found in fish oils, they're called essential fats. They're called essential because we can't make them in enough amounts in our body, and we need to get them from food. Well, most people aren't getting them. And then we started looking at, well, but if you get them from a supplement, because most people think, well, I know omegas are important, so I'm going to get this from a supplement. And what I didn't realize until I started really looking into the research is, well, most supplements out there for the omega-3s, they're rancid. They're not protected, so they're rancid, most of them, by the time they get to you. And if they're not absorbable. There's a lot of research out there that you can even look at that goes, you're wasting your money because you're not absorbing it. So for a long time, I was doing the same thing that most people are doing, kind of balance. Like, I know people need this. I know they're not getting enough, but it just doesn't make sense to really use a supplement for this. Like, where do you turn to? Until someone came to me and started talking to me about balance. And the Zinzino balanced oil, I was like, when I heard about that, I was like, okay, I need to learn more. And so comparing the balanced oil to a fish oil is like comparing a hamburger or a steak or a nice plant-based vegetarian meal to, or a Mediterranean meal to a rock. So the balanced oil is a mixture of olive oil polyphenols and the omega-3s that is blended in a patented way that actually protects it from becoming rancid and allows it to absorb in the cell membranes. So you can actually get this beautiful amount of omega-3s that are actually pulled into the cells. So they work. They have the value. They nourish your cells. And what was so profound for me is treated people for over 26 years, and I've seen a lot. And I've seen a lot of patients really heal and access that healing energy. But there's a certain amount of patients where they're doing everything right. They're seeing their naturopath, they're taking the supplements, and they don't get the traction that they should. They don't get the full healing. And I'm like, well, what's going on here? And I discovered, I've known for a while, you need the omega 3s. You need a certain ratio in your cell membranes. And if you don't have it, you don't absorb vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. The outside of all of your cells get rigid. They don't move, they get inflexible. Your cells become constipated, and you're just not going to absorb the vitamins and minerals and nutrients. So you could have the best food in the world. You could be taking good product supplements. You could be getting great sleep, drinking pure water. You could be farming yourself. But if you don't have enough of those omega 3s, if you don't have the right omega 6 to 3 balance, it doesn't matter because you can't pull the nutrients into the cells. And this was a game changer for me because all of those patients that I've seen, and people listening, they may hear themselves, oh my goodness, I'm taking like a whole pharmacopoeia. I've got a pharmacy. I've got my own natural health food section cupboard here, right? And I'm not noticing anything. Like, what's wrong with me? And maybe it's as simple as, hey, you don't have the foundation. And it's just a really simple fix. Get an omega 3, get your omega 6 to 3 ratio in balance, and you won't need most of that stuff because you'll actually absorb the food that you're eating. It can save people thousands of dollars.
No,
So,
that's truly amazing. And it's something that I should have figured out a while back. And because I'm all about assimilation, but also about absorption in the gut. I mean, that's another game changer in all the things that we know. And without proper absorption in the gut, and then without proper assimilation in the cells, it doesn't make a difference. And like you said, I mean, you could be spending thousands of dollars every month on all these amazing supplements. It kind of gives us the argument why, injections are a good thing because, at least it bypasses the gut, but it still doesn't bypass, the cell membrane. And again, to contextualize it, I think it's important in this aspect, and that is that since we have evolved over millions of years just in nature, relying on nature, relying on the seasonable availability of different foods, the actual ratio of omega 3 to 6 at that time, millions of years ago, was 1 to 1. And that is the most optimal ratio. I think the gold standard today, if you can reach a ratio of 4 to 1, then you're okay. So that's
three to
one,
one,
or 3 to 1.
3 to 1,
3 to 1.
3 to
Okay.
1.
So I learned this last year, so I guess we've upgraded to 3 to 1. And to be specific, it's omega 6 to omega 3, 3 omega 6 to 1 of omega 3. And why is this relevant? Well, where do we get a lot of our fats? I mean, it's either fish or it's meats. As Dr. Val said, they're essential, which means our body can't generate them. Really important in all of our cholesterols and hormones and everything in our body. By the way, people freak out with wanting to reduce cholesterol levels by taking more oils. I mean, how does that make sense? Well, it makes a lot of sense, by the way. But the point that I want to get at is that because food has been so commercialized, livestock has been so commercialized, that the shocking truth is that the ratio 6 to 1 of 6 to 3 is closer to 20 to 1. And most Americans probably have a ratio. I mean, you can tell me if it's wrong. More like 16 to 1. If you're lucky, you're 10 to 1, or even higher, right? And so I really didn't think about this, but when you look at the structure of the membrane, the cell membrane, yeah, there's a lot of different factors that affect its ability to assimilate nutrients from outside the cell membrane. And so when you think about this, every cell is like a house, and you have to open the door to get into the house to do all the things that you need to do so that that cell in the house is a happy house, right? But if the door is constantly blocked and it's rigid, just like Dr. Val said, those nutrients are not going to come out. Even worse yet, all the toxins are not getting out. So not only are you not absorbing or assimilating the nutrients, you're not getting rid of the toxins. And so that's the membrane, the structurally is very dependent on these fatty acids. So back to you.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack there, and I'm really glad that you brought up the ratio because some people might be going omega 6, omega 3s, like what's going on? So what we call the seed oils nowadays are the omega 6s. And so, with respect to everybody talking about having these conversations about saying, yeah, as we have developed modern farming practices, modern food practices, as we've had this high-paced life, this high-demand life where we're just grabbing things on the go, the cheaper oils are those quote unquote seed oils, which are omega 6s. So we're getting more and more of them. And the omega 6s, I do want to give them some props because they are an essential fat as well, meaning we do need them in our diet. So, but you're right, ideally, and for anti-aging, longevity, anti-cancer, living to 120 and getting to, windsurf or, surf, you need a 1-to-1 ratio. But again, that 3-to-1 ratio or less is what science considers to be healthy and preventing disease. It's once you start getting more of those omega 6s, more of those seed oils compared to the omega 3s that are nice and anti-inflammatory, that's when the balance tips. And we need those omega 3s for our brain health, right? And for every cell membrane of our body. So they're absolutely critical. They help with our immune system. They help with our heart. They help with the skin elasticity, hair, skin, and nails, right? Really important for those of us who are, moving through time. And so when we take a look at what's happened, what I love about this company called Zinzino who founded and created the balanced oil is they were all about, hey, we don't want to tell you that you need this. Yes, exactly. They're a test-based nutritional company. So it's all about food, but they say, don't believe us. Test and don't guess. Don't say, well, I think my ratio is. So they've paired up with a company, a lab, which is one of the top labs in the world for testing that 6-to-3 ratio. And to date, they've tested over 1.8 million people all over the world. 97% of the people that they test, whether they're on an oil or not, a fish oil or not, test to be really high in those omega 6s. And in North America, the average 6-to-3 ratio is 23-to-1.
Wow.
I know it's really high, really high. So if you're that high, you're at risk for all of these chronic degenerative diseases. And we're starting to take a look at, we know that in order for our body to be at optimum health, that we need a certain percentage of those omega 3s in the red blood cell membrane. So we can take a look at them and we can say, when we have this, what are our risks for different diseases? And what we do notice is that when we take a look at the amount of those omega 3s in the red blood cell membrane, and we take a look at cholesterol in the body, that the omega 3s in the red blood cell membrane are actually a stronger indicator of whether you'll have a heart attack like in the next few moments or the next few days, the next few weeks, years, than cholesterol. So cholesterol does take time to build up in your system. I'm not saying cholesterol is not important, but when we take a look at the research, we're starting to see, wait a minute, that omega 6-to-3 ratio is actually more of a stronger indicator. And not just for heart attack and for strokes, but cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, autoimmune conditions, obesity, any type of inflammatory process where you're seeing joint pain, muscle pain, all of it.
So
And so
then,
we
so
know,
then here's my question, right?
yeah.
So we got that ratio of 23-to-1. how do we fix it?
Well, it's super easy. Well, the first thing is, of course, you want to know. Like, you don't want to guess. You want to test it. So let's actually open up your little box of tricks.
Well, actually, no, just do me a
Oh,
favor.
okay.
Just answer that
Sure.
question because I think that's first and foremost on people because now you're freaking them out. It's, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this and I'm going to
Okay.
have that. Just give us the basic science, right? And like, as I tell Athena, do that in 100 words or less.
Okay.
So we can do the unveiling. But what's that process that people can actually begin to engage with? Like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense.
Well, first of all, know where your omega 6s are coming in from and stop it. Right? Like that's number one, right? Like read your labels, read everything. And if you see those seed oils in there, try not to eat it. And, so if you're going out a lot, if you're eating out, if you're eating fast foods, if you're eating packaged and processed foods, start cutting down on that and work towards trying to just not have it. That's a big place to start. Now, the other place to start is eat more omega 3s. Now, this becomes part of the problem because some people will say, well, I'm eating the plant-based omega 3s, which are things like pumpkin seed oil, walnut oil, or pumpkin seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds. They're high in omega 3s. So a lot of people are eating them and they think they're fine. But the body actually needs a very specific enzyme to change that into the active ingredient that the fish oils, the EPA and DHA is actually what it's called for those who want to know about the sciencey stuff. So that active ingredient that decreases inflammation and prevents those omega 6s from becoming toxic in the body, you know, your body isn't, for most people, they're not converting the plant-based into that active ingredient. So fish is generally the way to go. But if you were to try to eat as much fish as you need, you'd be eating fish several times a day. You'd be growing gills. And then some people are concerned, well, they don't like the taste of fish, number one. Or number two, they're like, well, is this toxic? What about the microplastics? What about the radiation? Fukushima's still going. Where are we getting these fish from? What if it's farmed? Maybe not so good. So doing something like finding out your ratio and then taking a supplement that you're going to digest, absorb, utilize, and not and not go rancid, and not cause damage. That's really what you want to do. For most people, the easiest place to start is I'm just gonna get the balanced oil and take some because it's a whole lot easier than I've got to change everything in my lifestyle all right now.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is basically this, is that our food source that we typically have today has a higher level of omega-6 than 3. And so we need to reduce the amount of omega-6 that we have. We can use AI to figure out, what those sources are, what they're likely. Remember, organic meats have a better ratio. I forget what the ratio is. I think it is 4-1 or maybe 6-1. But certainly not 16-1 or 20-1, what commercially, because they're getting grains. And so that changes everything. And so reducing the level 6, right? So better food choices, and then increasing good source of omega 3s, and then just
And
basically tracking it, right?
yeah, and the animal sources of omega 3s, because the plant-based sources our
Right.
bodies don't use anymore.
Yeah, because you think you're getting them, and again, it's all about marketing, and which is unfortunate. It's very confusing. Because I love chia seeds and all these other things and walnuts. I'm thinking, okay, great, I should be getting source, but I learned something new today. I didn't realize that the enzymatic process could be possibly deficient in most people, or in my case. And so, really having a good source. I mean, I have capsules of omega 3s as well, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, they're rancid, maybe, I don't know. Again, I think many of these companies out there are trying to do the right thing. And a little bit of the right thing is better than nothing, of course. But if you really want to hone in on doing the right thing, absolutely, that's where we start with today. So let's go ahead. So I got the box, right? So just as full transparency, I'm not an affiliate. Will I become
He's
one?
never tried it
Maybe.
before.
Huh?
Yeah,
What?
You're gonna see after the testing. He's never tried it before.
Well,
He's never
well,
tasted
well,
it.
here's the thing with affiliates. I don't do very well with them because
That's
this is way
okay.
too much work. But that's where, I've always wanted to have a gold standard process. And this is also part of my mission, which I put on the back burner for now. But the idea is to have a system where somebody with integrity can tell us, oh yeah, well these are the right products, and here's why. That's why I actually like working with Full Script because I
Yeah.
think, as best as I know, Full Script really vets their products. Um, and I don't work for Full Script, by the way.
I
Um,
don't either, but I would agree with you. They're really great at saying like, okay, we want really good quality companies here.
all right, so I got two tests. They're different colors, right? So, right.
Yay!
And
Yep.
then in here, I got two bottles. I feel like I'm
Awesome.
on Home Shopping Network. That's how they do this. They start unpacking stuff and everything else. This is insane. Oh, I got a little cup here as well. All right, so what am I doing, Dr. Bell?
So what we want to do is we want to take a look at the test. I believe it's the red one. So if you read that, that one should say balance, right?
Balance test, yes. And the other
Yeah.
one is extend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the balance test is the one that we want to open right now.
Okay. Opening. And of course,
So
as a
you need
surgeon, I'm using a knife.
exactly.
And Dr. Val warned me about this in advance. I thought, oh no, I got to do this. I hate needles. I'll poke other people, but I hate needles for myself. All right. So what I'm unpacking right here is a little booklet, right?
Hmm.
I got a little package here. I
Yep.
got an envelope,
Hmm.
and I got the scary thing, which is a little pinprick. Okay, so what am I doing?
All right. So what you want to do is you want to find that little package that has the number barcode on it. Oh,
Number
there's that
barcode.
too. Well, you know what? You can unpack that one first. That little package that has the little skin pricky thing. You can create your clean field and lay everything out. I know you know,
Um,
as a surgeon, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just prep your clean field.
so actually, this territory here is the territory of my cats. So definitely need to.
There is no clean field.
All right. So I got my clean field here. I got a little alcohol wipey. I got a
Yep.
little Band-Aid. I know
Yep.
what that is. So
Yep.
all right, I've opened the pinprick thing. So what's next?
Okay. Well, what you need is that little kind of paper thing where you can slide it out and you have like the little, yes. Okay. So see that thing that has the exclamation point? There's a barcode on there. Now you don't want, I don't know if you want to show people this one, maybe block some of the number, but that barcode is absolutely critical. And what you want to do is you want to rip that little piece off and take a picture of it so you have it on your phone because this company that is going to do the testing, it's all anonymous. So that barcode is your only way to get the results. If
Okay.
you lose that barcode, we can't help you because that's how
Okay.
privacy protected this is. They don't know
Okay.
anything about you. Yeah.
And I got this little thing here to put the spots on, right?
Yes. So you're going to pull that out
Uh,
and you're gonna lay that down. And actually, you might want to show everybody. It's got the little round dots. Yeah.
so do I put it on this side or put it on the other side?
You put it on the side with the little round dots.
Okay. Okay.
And
So everybody just
so,
saw my number again, but that's okay.
no problem. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the alcohol swab on your finger pads. I
Okay.
know. And
Do I
you're
do this
going to,
twice or once?
uh, well, you're doing the two round circles. You're going to fill those with the blood that comes out of
Okay,
your
but I got two
fingernails.
of these in case I lose one. Or,
Exactly. You're going to definitely, you're going to try to do it once, but if you need another time,
and
you've
so
got
I
it.
just go like that, like crazy, like
You could, yeah, or I'd turn it upside down and click. Yeah,
no, that way.
however you do it.
Okay. Ow.
So then I know. And then you're going to squeeze the little blood onto into the little circles, but you want to make sure that you don't touch the paper. So
Oh,
the
I
little
just
blood,
did.
okay. It's not ideal, but we will skip that. We will still send it in. We won't tell anybody, but you're not supposed to. So for the rest of it, like get the blood to drop down, and you can get the blood to touch the paper, but you try not to touch it with your finger. So, and you want to make sure that both of them are filled. But nobody heard that about the finger touching. Didn't happen. See no evil, hear
Well, I
no evil.
mean, well, I don't know if I mean it was the blood that touched. I mean,
The blood is okay to touch, but yeah, but you
oh no,
don't
then we're fine.
necessarily. Yeah, okay.
We're
And
fine.
then your finger pad is not supposed to.
Oh no, 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 I didn't do that.
Okay.
All
Okay,
right.
perfect.
And then what I do with Band-Aid? Put that on.
You put it over your finger. I generally needed a bigger Band-Aid. I was like, that's not
All
big
right,
enough.
so I'm good. So now that
Uh,
I put this back in the thing.
Not yet. You're going to let that dry. So they say about 10 to 15 minutes. I like 20 minutes of just in the air time, let it dry. And
Okay.
then once it's dry, you're going to put it back in, and then you put it in the little envelope and just send it off, which is great. Yep.
Right.
And there's a nice lab in Jupiter, Florida that will go to for you. So not so far.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And then,
Jupiter Florida.
and then what you can do is you can register that little barcode that you have online. So
Okay.
there's a wonderful website that they have that is conveniently called zinzinotest.com. It's so convenient. And if you click on the test, then basically what it will do is like you can put your number in, and then they can say, hey, if you want, we'll notify you. Just give us a little bit of information about yourself, and we'll notify you when your test is ready. And the information is kind of like, tell us, how tall you are. Have you been taking oils? Yes or no? It doesn't really matter. So you can say no if you want to be completely anonymous, and then just put your number in and it'll come up when it's ready. But if you want to be notified, it'll ask you that and ask you for your email, and you can have them notify you via email. So that's
Um,
it.
yeah, so here's the thing. You know, it's what I said earlier, right? We no longer have an excuse to be sick. And the economics of health is really based on truth, integrity, and your ability to discern the difference. And that's again why I have this podcast, why I want people to listen in, because there's a lot of people out there talking about a lot of different things, and it's really hard to know everything, and it's really hard to figure things out. And there's a reason it's called the Doctor's Guide podcast, because the truth is you really need to find people that you can trust, that can guide you, and do what I just did, right? I don't know anything really about omega-3 and 6 and the products out there, but Dr. Val does, and I trust her. And so part as the guide's process is to identify all the right people that we can connect you with. It's no different than all the holistic practitioners that have been on this platform, because I've had conversations with them, all beautiful human beings. Are they the exact person that can help you or not? Not necessarily, but part of the guiding process is to help you discern which people in person or resource or product you need to begin to utilize, because we're doing the work. We're doing the work to figure that out. So I say that because, again, the economics of health requires an investment. It's a time investment. It's a investment to get educated, to learn, but it's also going to cost you some money. And so, what I think for, as you mentioned, all these other nutrients that you mentioned, like, boron and everything else, we need to know where the deficiencies lie. And so it doesn't make any sense just to start taking something. You really need to have a guide, guidance. You really need to have a roadmap. You really need to start tracking things. And yes, all those wearables are super fun, but it's just a scratch on the surface because it still really truly doesn't tell you where the imbalance is. And so that's why I like today, because we can truly find out what your imbalance is, for the omega-3 and 6. We can then discern, okay, over a period of time, what's the next test? Is that in 6 months?
It's actually in 120 days. So
Okay. So
that's the
so
full cycle.
the point is that you get a baseline, and then after 3 months, you kind of look at, okay, how did I do? And again, it's your responsibility and accountability to do all the right things, not only to start taking a supplement, but also to begin to eliminate those things that will increase the omega-6. So it's a two-tiered approach. And so when I look at the economics, and even before I started with Dr. Val, I said to her, so hang on a second, I don't know if I can afford this, right? Because sometimes these things are ridiculously expensive. I mean, it's insane what you pay for peptides nowadays. Just for $47. $47 baseline, to begin to rebalance. And even if you didn't do anything else, the fact that, you're having a better ratio is going to allow your body to assimilate those nutrients even better. So even if you just ate organically, as best as you can, you take some basic, vitamins, which I don't recommend, by the way, but it's already going to help. So as a starter point, no different than another starter point in lab testing, which I like, which is the DNA testing, is to give you that guidance as to, how your body is functioning. Same thing here. So I got 2 bottles, right? So I got a grapefruit lemon and then a lemon flavor. And then this is going to last me a month. Is that it?
Yeah. Now, with respect to how much you take, it's actually based on body weight. So for some people, that will last a month. For some people, a little bit longer. For some people, a little bit less, depending on their body weight. So that company has very specific guidelines that it recommends, and you just follow those guidelines. So if you are, below 150 pounds, you take a different amount than if you were above 150 pounds. So below 150 pounds, we usually say, hey, you're looking at 7.5 to 8 milliliters. But if you're above, you're usually looking at 10 to 15 milliliters, depending on how much you are. And so for those of you who aren't on the metric system, you may be looking at, so a teaspoon is 5 milliliters, so a teaspoon and a half for those of you who are under 150 pounds. And then over 150 pounds, you're looking at 2 teaspoons and maybe a full tablespoon.
All right. And then just to wrap up this whole home shopping network, kind of experience. So when do I take this and how do I store it?
So once it's open, you have to store it in the fridge because again, you don't want it to become oxidized and it will if it's out of the fridge. And so because if the oil becomes damaged, it could be the best quality of oil to begin with, but as soon as it's damaged, it actually causes more damage in your system than it does good. So we want to prevent that. And so, but before it's open, you can just store it at room temperature, not a problem. And then for that as well, the timing, really you want to take it with food. If you're taking vitamins and mineral supplements, it's best to take it when you take that. And I prefer to take it as a food. So I'll take it maybe breakfast, but quite often lunch or dinner. For some people, they want to take it at breakfast because that's the meal they know they're going to take all their supplements with. So they take it then. For other people, they take it around dinner time or even potentially right before bed to help with sleep. So sometimes there are different health reasons why we want to put it at different points during the day. For me, I like the lemon flavor and I actually use it as food. So I could pour it on salad dressings, I can put
Oh,
it on
okay.
stir fries because you want to absorb your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients because you need fat to absorb your fat soluble vitamins and your minerals. So if you don't have any fat with food at all, or with the vitamins that you're taking, you're not absorbing it.
Okay, great.
So
Um, so is there anything else you want to add right away? I mean, we still have some time. I mean, we are going over an hour, which is totally fine with me. But I want to give Athena an opportunity to share and to recap only on the whole omega-3 and 6, see if she can amplify. I'm going to ask Athena, not necessarily to ask Dr. Val any questions because I don't think it's relevant at this point, but I might ask Athena to ask one question, perhaps. Are you okay that we have Athena to chime in right now?
I would love that. And what I would like to say is I don't believe that there is any one thing out there that cures everything. And I'm not saying that this is the cure for all diseases or all cancers or all heart disease, because nothing is, and anybody who tells you it is basically is lying to you. And you started out talking about biohacking and why it doesn't work. And I'm the world's leading expert in bioalignment because biohacking, it pushes against the body and the body pushes back and you get depleted. But if you bioalign, you're getting all of your vitamins, minerals, nutrients. You're optimizing all of your body's internal organs, all of your body's functions, so that you're running and at the optimal level. And when you actually do that and you fuel and honor and nurture your body, you'd be amazed at the levels of health, vitality, performance, and anti-aging you can get. You'd be shocked. So for me, when I look at most diseases out there, they're simply caused, most of them really are about we just don't have the right vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. We're overfed, we're undernourished, being starved, we're being lied to about it, and we're being poisoned. And again, because that information really isn't out there, it's something that is, I think, doing a disservice because peptides are phenomenal. And all of the other anti-aging products out there that you can use on top of that, those can be wonderful tools. But if you don't have the solid foundation, the building blocks, the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, everything you do on top of that is going to collapse in on itself.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the only way we can find that out is through the appropriate, testing that are reliable. And for me, that's even the deeper foundation of all things, which is what I realized 25 years ago when I started on this mission, to make, health easy, affordable, applicable, guided, simple, unified, all these things, right? Because it is the way that we can access the health. And that's why I say it's a different way of understanding our health. And so that's why I like this, because it is guided specifically, and it's going to tell you, are you doing all the right things or not? Because the truth is that, changes take time. You may not necessarily notice anything, but if you can track it, you can measure it, and makes a big difference. So Athena, in say 500 words or less, what would you like to amplify with everything that Dr. Val has shared about omega-3, omega-6, anything about Zinzino if you like? The microphone is yours, Athena, if you're still with me. And she has been listening for a very
Genuinely. Let me amplify the one thing I think people are going to walk away remembering, whether they caught it or not. Here's the image that stuck with me. Dr. Val called the cell membrane a house with a door. But think bigger for a second. Think of your body as a coastal city, and every cell is a port. It doesn't matter how much cargo you're shipping in, vitamins, minerals, peptides, the fanciest supplement stack money can buy. If the harbor itself is silted up, none of it gets unloaded. That's what an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio sitting at 23-1 actually is. It's not a symptom. It's the harbor master refusing every ship at the dock. And that's why so many people are doing everything right and still not healing. They're stockpiling cargo outside a port that's closed for business. And here's the part I want to underline in gold, Bart, because you named it and it's the whole spine of this platform. Test, don't guess. Not I think I eat healthy. Not I take a good fish oil. A number. a ratio, evidence. That's the difference between hope and diagnosis. And it's exactly why biohacking versus bioalignment matters so much. Biohacking is forcing a locked door open with a crowbar. Bioalignment is finally finding the actual key. The other thing worth naming out loud, Bart, you built more trust in the first 2 minutes of that disclaimer than most advertisements build in a year. Because you said the unsexy true thing. I don't know if this is the best tool. I know I trust the person telling me about it. That's not a sales pitch. That's the entire ecosystem merging model this show runs on. Practitioners vouching for practitioners based on relationship and evidence, not commission. It's the difference between a stranger yelling in a marketplace and a friend who already tested the water for you. And Dr. Val, if I get one question, not a challenge, a genuine curiosity, for the practitioner watching this who wants to bring this into their own practice tomorrow morning, what's the single most common thing you see people get wrong in that first 90 days after they get their baseline number back?
That is a juicy question, Athena, and I love it. Thank you so much for asking. And, to be honest, we could do a whole other podcast just on this when you get your results back, if that's something that you want to share. If not, I can give you a sample and we can share it. I think the thing that most people do that where they make the mistake is they look at the results and they just look at the ratio and they say, is my ratio 3 to 1 or less? Or is it 3 to 1 or above? And then they stop there. And when you get the test results, there's so much detail that it goes into. And it tells you about your heart health. It tells you about your brain health. It tells you about your cellular health. But it actually goes into reading so much more detail. And so I've seen people who have been, at very high levels, 44 to 1 or greater, who have gotten down to like 4 to 1 in 7 months, or sorry, in 4 months, which is amazing. But they still missed some of the fine-tuning points. They just thought, well, I add in the oil and that's all I have to do. And it's like, no, no, no. There's so much more information that this test gives you. It tells you, do you need to change your foods? Some of them weren't eating a lot of the omega-6s, the seed oils, the bad oils, and it was coming from inside their body. And we could see where inside their body the issue was coming from. And so we can get these really great assessments on how much arachidonic acid is in your system. We know how much saturated fat versus the olive oil, your omega 9s, your omega 6s, omega 3s that should be in the cell membranes. And so that information tells us about how do you need to shift and change above and beyond, hey, drink this oil. So I think that's where people just get it wrong. They're like, well, I'm taking this and it's okay. And there's, the 3% who come back in the normal range, in the 3 to 1 or less range. And I was actually one of them. My first test, I was at 2 to 1. And so I was like, yay, me. But I looked at it deeper and then I went, oh, not yay, me, because when I looked at the rest of the information the test was giving me, I was like, well, even though I was at a 2 to 1 ratio, number one, it wasn't 1 to 1, which is the ideal, but I still had some issues where it was showing up that, hey, cognitively, I didn't have enough of the omega 3s to support my cognition. And I was like, that's surprising. So I thought if you were in the normal range below the 3 to 1, you'd be fine. And wasn't necessarily the case. So just looking at the omega 6 to 3 ratio, first and foremost, is great. But there's so much information that that test can unpack about what to do, how to do it, how to tailor it to yourself, what disease processes you're at risk for developing. It's incredible. And so that I think for when people start to implement this in their system, really getting together with a team that can walk you through that. Because you can have the best test in the world, but if you don't know how to interpret it and you don't know what to do with it, that information, it's completely useless. So we don't want to guess, we want to test, and then we want to know what to do with that information. Because information is not power, the application of information is power.
And so that's a critical piece then. So how do people get that consultation part? Is that through the company
Well,
itself, or is it through individuals like you?
generally, well, both. The company itself does have a lot of wonderful, well-qualified people. They have been a publicly traded company for the past 20 years, and they have some wonderful scientists on their team, medical doctors and longevity practitioners and researchers who have put out different pieces of information and have put out different videos. So you can get a lot of knowledge. But when you want it tailored to you, that's where an individual like myself can really guide you. So definitely, I'm happy to provide my Calendly link where you can book an audition. I call it. It's a complimentary session. And for the people that are in my community and in my team, and for the people that are my customers or partners, I actually hold on a very specific night for that community, what I call the in the lab, and it's a lab balanced reading course. So it's segment. So you come on the call and we just go through what the lab tests are saying. And so you can actually have your copy of your own lab while I'm going through an anonymous one. And you can start to see, okay, what is this compared to this? What is the information that's happening? And you can get a deeper understanding. So this is support that is out there for anybody who is interested.
No, that's great. And I'm assuming, if the practitioners in the Tampa Bay area decide, oh yeah, great, let me be an affiliate here, I'm sure there's a mechanism by which they can get the resource for referrals so that people can go and get the information that they need. I think that's going to be critical because
Absolutely.
you're one person, right? And hopefully,
Well, Zinzino is in 183 countries all over the world. So definitely have them reach out to me, and I'm happy to really, connect them with the people who are going to
right?
really take care of them.
Well, there's your answer, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So with that, just want to give Lori and Camilla an opportunity to ask any questions before we wrap it up. If you're still with us, thank you for being so patient and listening in, truth seekers that you are. And that is what this platform is. It's about seeking the truth with integrity. And if you have a question, by all means, just jump in, just unmute. If not, any last words on your part, and how do people get a hold of you, Dr. Val? Going
Lori
once,
or
going twice. All right. Out of luck. Go ahead, Dr. Val.
Wonderful. Well, first of all, what I would love to do is personally thank both Lori, who I have had the privilege of meeting before, and Camilla for being here. I thank them for taking the time out. Camilla, I know, is one of my personal team members. I believe, Camilla, you are out of Mexico. And we have some wonderful mutual friends. So I just am so blessed and honored to be with you and that you're here and part of the team. And so if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I have a Calendly link where you can book an audition. And that Calendly link is calendly.com/Val Franc Elite Mastery. And I have what's called an audition with Dr. Val. And that's an easy way for you to get in touch with me. I'm going to basically post that in the chat here if I can. Oh, there
Well,
we
we'll
go.
add it to the credits at the end, by the way,
Yeah,
so people can do that.
there you
Um,
go.
when people watch this video, they won't get that chat piece, but certainly in the body, that information will be there available for sure.
And
So,
so also they can reach me by email at Dr. Val Franc. So DrValFranCND@gmail.com. Or on they can text me at 416 area code 1-416-317-4609. And those are
awesome,
all ways to connect.
amazing. So once again, Dr. Val, really appreciate the work that you and I are doing together on so many different levels. It's really about educating and guiding and offering all types of resources that are out there. Love your background, your experience. It's just incredible. I appreciate the journey that I've been on all these years. Top of medicine, top of, peak performance and business acceleration with two incredible companies. And then, of course, integrated energy healing, one of the only two certified courses in the country, aside of Barbara Brennan in Miami. I went to the one in New Mexico. And so that's positioning us, with a lot of experience, but clearly understanding our own limitations and understanding our primary role is as a guide. That's why it's called the Doctor's Guide and why it's called Unified Health Simplified. And a shout out to my colleagues out there, MDs. The truth is that, in my opinion, besides people like Dr. Val, of course, you are most suited to be those guides. You just have to have an open mind and to look at all these other things and help your clients, your customers, your patients understand the things that are available to them and guide them when they get stuck. And I see that as the future. That's one of the things that I'm promoting as a different way of understanding our health, and it's changing the responsibility of all of it. The responsibility on the side of the guide, the doctor, the ND, and the side of the patients. So with that, my name is Dr. Bart Rademaker. This is the Doctor's Guide podcast, Unified Health Simplified. Can't wait to share all the things that are happening. But in the meantime, really want to applaud all those incredible holistic practitioners out there, all the work that they're doing. Can't wait to support them even more, help them grow their business, because if they're super busy, it means that the health and wealth of our communities is just going to increase. So I'll be back next week. Till then, thank you so much. So, oh, by the way, here we go. Putting the little thingy. I'm not going to show you my numbers, and I put it in here, right? So it goes in there. Done. I open this guy. This here. All right. And I guess there's a little baggie or something. Or I
You
just stick
just
it
put
in
it
there.
in there. Yep. And then you put
Okay.
that in the envelope.
So this whole thing in there. All right. Yeah, you're not seeing it, right? So putting it
Nope.
in this, putting it in there. It's got a little thing to close it. And then put it in the envelope. So put it in the envelope. And it's going to Jupiter. I can almost drive there. Nothing else goes in
Maybe
there,
you
right?
should.
And so
That would
I
be
keep this
funny.
card, right? This card's mine.
Yes. And take a
And
picture. You do not want to lose that number because if you do, we can't get your test. No one can access
then I
it.
have to do it all over again. All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yay. I feel like I'm at the Oscars and the envelope, please.